All right. I am so happy. It has been 2 years since you and I sat on the tailgate of my truck and talked about your amazing work, your amazing ministry, everything that you're doing, and some things that I got cooking on the ranch. I thought, what a great time. Let's do it again. It's been a couple of years. Joshua Ward, thanks for joining me today.
Dan, thanks so much. It's a privilege to see your pretty face, and I miss being out in the fields with you. I would much rather be doing this from your tailgate, but doing
Yeah,
it on Zoom will have to do for today.
yeah, yeah.
It's fun
That's
to see
right.
you. Hey,
Well,
I'm glad to hear that the ranch has survived. You know, the project we were working on 2 years ago was that barn that blew down. So apparently, I'm not so talented with the nail gun, but
well,
glad to see things are growing.
it looked great, Joshua, for a couple of months, and then we had a big Texas windstorm, and it is now sitting in pieces. And coincidentally, I just had a bunch of wood ordered that's sitting out back there to rebuild it. So maybe you need to come out again, and we can take another try.
Hey, don't tempt me. I'll be out there as soon as I can.
Well, I tell you, a lot of things have changed since you were here. We've probably tripled our head count of cattle. Uh, the breeding program is going just amazingly well. The direct to consumer beef program is cranking along. We've got some new equipment which came at the perfect time because unlike the last couple of years where we've had significant drought, record rains this year, which have been difficult to kind of juggle farm equipment around. But we are producing, for us, record amounts of hay bales, uh,
Wow.
which is incredible. And I think we're going to have about double what we need. The ranch might actually make a couple bucks on it this year, which is certainly a blessing. And I'd be remiss to not share that you have become a dad, which is the most important news of anything we could discuss.
It certainly has been a real privilege to be blessed with a daughter. And yeah, we've been enjoying the joy of parenting and the sleeplessness at night. Um, Both those who say parenting is the hardest thing that they've ever done and the greatest joy of their life, both sets of people are entirely truthful in the month that they say that. And we've learned that to be true. So Stevie Joy is her name. And at the time of this recording, she's 6.5 months old. So
Amazing.
we're learning how to give her blended foods. She just tasted carrots for the first time.
Yeah.
It all ended up on the floor, but it
Yeah.
was fun
Well,
watching her.
Stevie Joy is so blessed to have you both as parents, and I've loved following along and hearing the stories. And trust me when I say, as the father of three, that all the bad stuff you forget all of it and just remember the good stuff. So that's that's
Man,
the that's the
kind
other.
of, kind of like your ranching there. When I was out there, you guys were mid drought. I remember you stressing about not getting enough bales for the winter, and here you've trucked along and pushed through the hard stuff, and you're sitting saying you're gonna have excess bales, which is
Right.
just it's such a blessing. I think there's so many analogies from farming in the Word of God and just what we can take for life. You know, when life gets tough in parenting, you don't get packing, you work through it, and then the good seasons
Right.
come.
Right. Amen. Well, let's talk about Partners in Action, which you shared with us on the tailgate 2 years ago. A lot of changes have happened, and I'd love for you to share with us name changes and everything therein.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so really some exciting work we've been able to be a part of in the last 2 years, I guess. Partners in Action has this tremendous legacy of over 38 years in 33 different countries, a lot of work in the Metroplex Phoenix area here and throughout other states. Originally starting in low income housing and finding its roots there, where it spread through America and then ultimately went international. And so a part of that is the picture behind me. That's Bulembu. That's where Partners in Action collided with My Family's World, where we look after orphan and vulnerable kids in this small country, Eswatini. Eswatini is an African nation that borders South Africa and Mozambique. So if you just imagine 1.2 million people in this very small country and beautiful, beautiful nation. That's Eswatini. So in 2006, Partners in Action came in, helped us buy out an abandoned mining town that we repurposed for the childcare component of our organization. And so that town's called Bulembu. Anyway, so I've had an amazing run with Partners in Action and serving alongside Bulembu and the other programs that we're involved in other countries. But as the work in Eswatini has grown tremendously, we just recognized, hey, we're now at a juncture where we really need a singular focused entity on the work in Eswatini. And so we're very proud to have launched Challenge Ministries US. And Challenge Ministries US is singularly focused on the work in Eswatini. The reason why it's called Challenge Ministries is because the parent organization in Eswatini is called Challenge Ministries Eswatini. And that was founded by my parents back in 1997. And so we've been able to take Challenge Ministries US and focus its efforts on resourcing the work in Eswatini, because we believe that we really can see the small nation of Eswatini transformed within the next 1 or 2 generations. And it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of sweat and tears, but we can see that happen. We're on track, Dan, to be within walking distance, get this, of every rural family in Eswatini by 2030. Imagine being able to put help within the reach of all of the population of a rural African nation. So anything goes wrong, we can be within walking distance of that family.
Remind us, the people that will be watching this video, friends and family of the 46X, remind us about the challenges that the country faces.
Yes. So in this beautiful nation with just the most amazing culture of honor and respect for elders and for foreigners, we have some tremendous headwinds. And economically, that we're in quite a repressed economy, where about 60% of the nation lives below $1.90 a day. So that's in the realm of extreme poverty. It would not be uncommon to stumble across families in rural communities that are eating one meal every 3 days. And in my childhood growing up in Eswatini, 1 in every 10 homes, as you looked out across the mountainside, was child-led, with the average age being 11. And the average child-led home had 2 to 3 siblings in it. So that was a product of the HIV/AIDS pandemic that moved through Eswatini and just ripped away at the parental generation. Now, we've just gone through COVID, and we know what it's like when health really comes crumbling with pandemics. Now, the difference between COVID or other normal pandemics or epidemics is that normally you have a taking of the weak and a leaving of the strong. HIV and AIDS hits the strong because it hits the sexually active generation. And so it starts to take out the parental generation, which is also your workforce. So you have the double order impact of HIV taking parents, but also taking the income earners. And that's why Swaziland has both extreme poverty and parentless generation.
Wow, it's tough to hear as spoiled Americans, right? And I'm always grateful for the way that you share that story, because it's very profound, and I hope some people are hearing this that feel called to really help, because the impact that we can make is nothing short of huge. So
yeah.
You've had a recent mission trip, and you've had some work with the Christian Life Center in Ohio, I believe it was. Can you tell us about some of those experiences?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So just got back about a month ago from Eswatini. Now, obviously, my family are there. So honestly, this was a personal trip. I was going out to see my sister get married. But while out there, had the privilege of being with a mission trip from my church. And that's a real privileged part of our job, that we get to take people from the US, train them up, and send them out to be hands and feet on the ground serving in these communities. from our rural communities where we are a church, a preschool, a home-based healthcare team, and that's what we have within walking distance of every family. And then our teams also visit Bambu, where they get to work alongside more than 220 orphaned and vulnerable kids in family-style care homes. And so those trips are phenomenal. It always helps, give people a very different perspective on life and what we value. And the reality is, we sit here as Americans and we would say, wow, everything you're saying sounds really tough and sad and depressing. And the reality is, when you walk into a community and you find families who have absolutely nothing, they have all the headwinds that you would think would break them in America. And you look at the kids, and what are they doing? They're playing and having fun and laughing. There is such joy that sits outside of this world of having stuff. And so, we're fed this lie that to be happy, you have to have more. Wealth is the source of joy, and it really isn't. But that doesn't mean we can leave people in a place of desperate need and a place of low life expectancy. And so our teams get to come alongside the community and help empower the community, serving under the community, not coming as outsiders to tell community, hey, this is what you need to do to live better, but coming to serve the community, saying, how can we serve what you already want to happen, and just be a place that facilitates and empowers that to happen. And so what that looks like is joining alongside our community leaders and doing projects that they ask us to do alongside the community's members. So,
and then the Christian Life Center was actually stateside food packing for the benefit of Eswatini, yeah?
That's correct. So a huge portion of this, Dan, is distribution of emergency meals. When you're dealing with the HIV impact in Eswatini, thanks to USAID, which is congressional department funding, and so thank you to all the American taxpayers, you are helping us support Swaziland by getting HIV antiretroviral medication to families. So every person in Eswatini has free access to that medicine, which is amazing. And that is what has changed the trajectory of life expectancy in Eswatini. But to take that medicine, you have to have eaten food before you take your pills. And it's like antibiotics. If you don't take it at the same time every day on schedule, it becomes it doesn't work. It becomes drug resistance. And there are 3 different types of anti-HIV medications. And once you become drug resistant to the first, you got the second and third. And after that, you just have drug resistant HIV. So part of our response at a community level is to ensure that families have food to survive, to stabilize, so we can stop the number of kids being orphaned. And in large part, that has to do with ensuring that parents who are dealing with an HIV positive life are able to live long and prosperously because they are able to eat. So we distribute about 1.8 million meals a year. And the amazing part of this is that we can engage in it from US soil. So anywhere in the contiguous US, we can house a packing event. We could do this on 46X one day. We may have to do it in the barn, where we get together with a whole bunch of people. In Ohio, that was 270 volunteers packing 140,000 meals
Wow.
under 2.5 hours. So, I mean, people gave up their Friday nights, and they were able to be massively effective in the difference that will make to.
Tell me about the logistics of that. How was the rice and other whatever it was that you were packing brought in, and how was it all shipped out?
Yeah, so arrives on pallets, leaves on pallets. The difference is arrives in these massive 50-pound sacks of rice, legumes, minerals, and dehydrated vegetables. And then you have a production line set up where it doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter your qualifications, everyone can scoop a preset amount into this funnel, which then drops into a bag, and each bag has 6 meals. The bags get boxed, and those boxes get palletized, wrapped, and then put into a box truck, which hits a warehouse, which hits a shipping container, which lands on the ground in Eswatini. And then from our distribution hub, arrives at a community site where it is then walked on someone's shoulder very lovingly and graciously to likely an old grandmother or a unemployed mother and or father's house, with our pastoral team sitting with the family, understanding the circumstance, and offloading a box of meals that will see them through the month.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, what you're doing has always been so inspiring to me. And for those watching, I've been involved with PIA, now Challenge Ministries, for, oh goodness, well north of a decade, I'm guessing at this point, and board member, and love the story, and it's selfish. I'm inspired by you and your work, and it's truly incredible. A couple of questions I'm really curious about. What is the cost for 1 year for one child? And that's going to lead into ultimately the question of what can people that watch this video do to so tangibly and profoundly help what y'all are doing?
Yeah. So if you're looking at how could you engage with the kids in our care program, we have a child sponsorship model that's an opportunity to give a variable of $35 a month to look after the child in care. Now, slightly different to what you might see from a World Vision or a Compassion International, where those kids are community-based care. Ours is in-house family-style care. And so we call it a co-sponsorship, which means the true cost of our kids in care is actually $420 a month. But we recognize that's burdensome and not many people can afford that. So we do co-sponsorship slots of $35 a month. And so you can sign up and be a part of ensuring that kids are being cared for in Bulembu in a family-style home for as little as $35 a month. Now, to people who are able to make very large contributions, that comes at a total cost of about $4,040 a year. Now, of course, when you're looking after kids, Dan, you know this about Lucas. His cost of care is based on how hungry he was and all the variables with kids. So we're talking about an average of caring for 220 kids. But yeah, that's what it would look like. There are other monthly opportunities you could get involved with. So, for example, if you were interested in ensuring that we're able to fully staff our complement of caregivers. So every home has a caregiver, which is like a motherly figure. We call them aunties. We don't call them mothers because the kids we're caring for have already lost their biological mother, and we don't need to add to that trauma. So they're called aunties. They cost us about $200 a month. And so you can be a part of Cover a Caregiver is what that monthly sponsorship is about. And that ensures the motherly care of the kids. And that's $200 a month.
Wow, incredible. What else would you like to share to anybody that presumably folks watching this video are following the Ranch YouTube and might be interested in our ministry activities, the blessings that we're trying to share through here in Central Texas, and our beef operation and everything else? Anything else that's on your mind that you wouldn't mind sharing?
Okay, so programmatically, possibly the most exciting component that we've developed as you've developed new lines of care for your animals and new barns there, Dan, and it's so fun to see. We've developed a new program within our scope of childcare called Bubele, which means compassion, and in Siswati. And our Bubele team, our compassion team, are a team of caseworkers, social workers who work directly with biological family members of children that we've been able to identify over time. See, the kids come to us in care by social welfare bringing them to us, and at that time, they have no familial contacts that the child could be placed with. But over the seasons of their life, we inevitably find and we do research into their family line and try and find biological family just to give them some level of connection to family tree. And when we find healthy family members, we are now in the process of relaunching these kids back into healthy, safe, loving family homes. And that's our reunification efforts. And man, that is so exciting because it multiplies the scope of our family size. We don't lose a child when we reunify a child. We gain an additional family. And so we're seeing the impact. Just in this last December, we were privileged to reunify 28 families.
Wow.
And so that's 28 families made whole again, and 28 families that we now get to journey with for a lifetime, because when you've called Bambu home, we view you as a part of the family, and we're always there for the kids. And so, yeah, that's the most exciting programmatic development. I think I would be remiss if I were not to say, first of all, to Dan, you and Amanda, thank you so much for what 46X is doing by advocating for our work, being ambassadors of it, and being so generous to it. I just want to say a big thank you. You know, we have the ambassador program, and you are exactly what an ambassador is a person who gets out there and says, hey, the world needs to know about this because it is an opportunity to engage in something. You know, we have a list of needs on our side, right? And we choose to look at that and say, these aren't really needs, they're opportunities to make an impact.
Sure.
And yeah, so we're grateful for ambassadors like you who create opportunities to share that with the world. And then if you're a customer of 46X, I just want to say thank you to you, because your purchasing of the lovely meat products of 46X is providing a revenue stream and a stream of generosity back to the work in Eswatini. So you're already involved with it, whether you decide to invest beyond your meat purchases or not. You are making waves in a very big pool that is allowing for some national level change in this small country.
Yeah. Oh man, amen. Well, you have such a amazing way to share the story in ways that Amanda and I and Lucas try to, but can't in the manner that you do, and we're grateful, and we hope to get a lot of engagement from continuing to share the story over and over. And thank you so much for your time today. We are absolutely grateful for everything you're doing.
Thanks, Dan, and God bless you and the work on 46X. And we pray that your customers would be blessed too. You guys are such a special family to us. And yeah, I miss the ranch. So we got to get out there and
anytime.
Get back to it. Well, hey, I know you probably have some calves to birth or some clients to make happy there. So I don't want to railroad your day. But if you've tuned into this podcast or YouTube clip, just want to say thanks for listening. You're welcome to check out www.challengeministries.org. You'll find a plethora of information there about the work we do in Eswatini, and there are opportunities to engage. There's a donate button, and we always welcome that. There's also the opportunity to come out and serve, or if you're a subject matter expert in any area of industry, we are always looking for smart people to connect with. So in our world, we call it our 3G strategy: give, go, and grow. And if any of that is interesting to you, we'd love to connect with you.
And I'll put all or most of that information down in the notes below this YouTube video.
Thanks, Dan.